All right, so now we're going to cover the three types of actions that you can play with as the player, the good actions from the dice, as well as the three advanced actions and the one free action you can do each turn. So first off, the good actions. These are your basic actions. This is going to be dependent on whatever dice action you roll. So starting off with the first action here, we have the sword and the book. This is to draw a promise card. So all you're going to do if you roll that, you're going to take a promise from here, and the icon matches up with the dice. Take that, add it to your hand, boom. That is drawing one, and that action is used up. The next action you're going to do is the grace card. So action number 2 that we're going to do is be able to use these cards. Any cards that are in our hand don't count as points. To get points, we have to put them down on our board. So how do we put them down into our battlefield? We place cards down by building armor, and we build armor when we roll the hammer and anvil icon. So we're literally making armor. We're putting the word into our mind. So I'm going to look at my cards here and I'm going to say, what do I have? Now I can play the same types of promises. That's totally fine. I can put them in their own space. You'll notice on the bottom row here, each slot has its own unique armor piece. That is for people who have the objective to get a whole set of armor. So if you don't have that objective on your character, don't worry about it. You can place your cards wherever you want. But when I lay my cards down, I'm going to place them down on my battlefield. And now that is how I build armor. This gives me points. This gives me Bible verses that I can look at later on and possibly put it to memory. And then the last card I'm going to use, or last action I'm going to draw, is the grace card. Grace cards, again, these are power-up cards. You can only do what the card says when you have the card, and those go into your hand. So the sword and the book, that is draw a promise. The hammer and anvil, that is to build armor, place it down on the battlefield. And then the crown of thorns is to draw a grace card. So those three are going to be your basic good actions. Now, there are 3 advanced actions, and the advanced actions require one good action that you sacrifice. So what do I mean by that? Let's say I've got these 3 good actions, and I see that I get to draw another card, but I don't feel like I need a new card. If I want to do one of these 3 advanced actions, I'd have to give up one of these. So I'm going to sacrifice my drawing. I'm not going to draw a card. And I'm going to do one of my advanced actions. Now, there's 3 advanced actions you can do. I can boost, I can merge, or I can gift. Now, a boost is when I have a card that's on the battlefield and I want to try and recite the card. So if I say, hey, I've got this love card here, it's 4 points. I want to make it stronger. What can I do? I can try and recite the card here. So in this case, I have Ecclesiastes 4:12. If I can say this card by memory, I will boost it. So I would hand this card off to a teammate and they would be the judge, and I would try and recite the card from memory. If I get that correct, I now get a gem. Gems are special. Gems are worth twice as much. So when a card has a gem on it, it multiplies everything on the card by 2. So in this case, my 4-point card now becomes 8 points because I was able to say it from memory. But it cost me a good action to do. Another thing I can do here after I boost is I can merge cards. Merging cards is when I look at my battlefield and I say, okay, I need to make more space. What can I combine? If I'm going to combine cards, I'm going to try and combine cards that have the same type. So in this case, I have a joy and a joy. Now, because they are the same type, they count as 1 card. So in this case, now this becomes 12 points of joy. And in a battle, this is now a 12-point card. If I want to recite the card, I can only recite whichever card is on top. So when I'm merging them, I need to keep that in mind, which card is on top. And if I want to recite it later, the higher the value of the card, the bigger the verse is going to be. So if I see, hey, I want these 8 points, but that's kind of a hard Bible verse to remember, then if I'm going to merge them, I want to go ahead and put the smaller verse on top. So that when I boost it, now the boost counts for everything there because they are 1 card. So now this goes from being 12 points to 24 points. Pretty good way to score points. The last thing we're going to do with our advanced action is called gift. Now, gift is special. Gift is when I have no build action available. So let's say I've got nothing but drawing promises. I roll and it's like, hey, I can't build anything. I don't need to draw more promises. What can I do? Well, I can gift a card from my hand. Now I can gift promise cards, or I can gift grace cards. Whichever card I choose, I would take a card and I would give it to another teammate. So this is my gift to them. Because I have given them a card, I now get to build, even though there's no build action. So I've sacrificed that draw and I gifted a card to my ally, and now I get to build when there's no build option available. That is gift, and those are the 3 advanced actions of the player that they have. So you have your 3 basic actions: draw promise, draw grace, or build. Then you have your 3 advanced actions: boost a promise, where you recite it from memory; merge a promise, where you combine 2 cards that are the same together; and gift, which allows me to build when there's no build action available. The last action I'm going to tell you about is your free action. There's 2 things you can do every turn, no matter whether you have a good action or not. And one is you get to play a grace card for free once per turn. You can only play 1 grace card each turn, unless you have a grace card that says you can do otherwise. But when I want to play this card, I say, hey, I'm going to use up my free action and I'm going to do whatever the card says. And I would play that card. If it's a spend action, it's going to go back into the grace deck. If it's an activate, it's going to go over here to my character. And activate means I can reuse it on the next turn, but it's also a little bit different than the spend option. So activate and spend will do unique things with that card. I get to decide how it's played. But that is my free action. Grace can be played once per turn for free. The other thing that I can do for free is I can always take a temptation from somebody else's battlefield and bring it to my own. So I can't just hand out temptations to someone, but I can bring temptations from someone else to me. Now you might ask, why would you want to do that? And this is called help a friend. So if I help a friend, what I'm doing is I'm looking for temptations that I'm immune to. So ideally, if I have joy, love, and humility, I'm looking for the opposites. Maybe a greed card over here, or a lust card over here, or a pride card. I want to bring those cards over to myself because I know that having temptations that I have the immunity to is a good thing, because when I get attacked, I can choose to sacrifice or be attacked by temptations that I'll resist. So that's why we want to use the help a friend. If I don't want to spend a grace, I can always look at the battlefield and say, how can I help my allies by moving around temptations that we can overcome together? By maybe they have a card that they're immune to that I don't have an immunity to. They can take a card from me and bring it over to themselves, or I can take a card from them and bring it to myself. But if I do that as my free action, I can't drain my grace. So each turn, I can only do a basic action, an advanced action, or a free action. And my free actions, I can only do 1 of 2, either help a friend or play a grace. And that is all actions available to the player at any time. This is a strategy game, so you do have to kind of think about how you're going to combine these actions to affect the game and to change up the strategy based on what the game itself is doing and whatever you're at in play. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.